Just tell us how already you're working with, well, the departments in some ways of those that are looking at tracking using an Oura ring or whether it be a Garmin watch. How are you already working with governments and indeed consumers?
So we are, in our monitoring business, we have a strong collaboration where we can actually include all the data from any Apple devices, Oura rings, devices that they're using in the house or in the home, to insert that into a patient context to understand how that actually makes a better diagnosis or a full patient picture. We also remotely monitoring in the home, for example, for cardiac rhythm problems, to early pick up signals that can actually then prevent deterioration later. So bringing care to the home is a big part of what we're doing, making sure that actually we start the journey as early as possible so that actually you can prevent deterioration. But then also in the hospital you see that actually AI is picking up very quickly. Just coming out of Chicago where we had a very big show around how we can improve imaging, because there's a huge demand for more images, but actually the hospital sector is really challenged to have enough radiologists or technicians to do all the scans.
Yeah.
So that's where AI can come to the rescue to really make a productivity difference.
I think of how I use my connected wearables, and some of that's to track my sleep. Now, I want to shift gears a little bit because there has been this safety issue involving your DreamStation 2. This is about sleep apnea and the machine there. The FDA having surgeon reports of overheating, worrying about fire smoke burns. There's also been other concerns around your sleep apnea products. How are you tackling that as the CEO right now?
Yeah, when I came into office, I said first priority is patient safety and quality. So I put a world-class team on it to work through the challenges. We also said we need to get very proactive in identifying what is out there so that actually we can address it and put the quality norm up. So it's about how we identify and then make sure that we, across the company, provide the best quality care and make sure that in the daily practices, when we work with customers and in the context that they have, we can make sure that actually they can rely on our products. So that's something we have been doing in our strategy. You also have seen that from the recent quarters, we have been seeing quite an uptake in the performance of the company because we have been able to start growing again. Now we have 4 quarters of growth. We have upped the guidance twice, but also that was under the premise that patient safety and quality, supply chain improvements and simplification of the organization are really important to drive better impact for care.
Mr. Jakobs, good morning from San Francisco. That issue, the most recent, was on the thermal issue of your current generation, but it's kind of brought back the discussion about the recall of 2 years ago over the polyfoam deterioration. There's a large body of academic work that shows a latency in the cancers that arise from exposure to deteriorating polyfoam, periods of 20 to 40 years down the road. Is Philips conscious of that latency?
So we have done extensive testing towards the health risk of degradation of the PE foam. We've also come forward with our testing, which actually shown that there's no appreciable harm from the usage of our devices. So that's something that we have done over a 2-year period with very strong evidence created together with the best scientific bodies, external bodies and toxicologists to make sure that actually we have no patient safety harm for our users. Also from there we have been working with the whole group of healthcare providers that we currently are addressing to make sure that patient safety and quality is the first priority. That actually also transmits into how you can use AI to improve the daily practice of AI. Because if you look at what AI can do, actually can help you read and interpret images in a more accurate fashion. Can also make sure that the radiologists that are reading from home nowadays, 70% is reading from home, can get access to the images and then make sure that they have the appropriate interpretation support with AI before and after their read.
Mr. Jakobs, you set aside 1.1 billion for remediation and $500 million for lawsuits. Is that sufficient, or will you have to add to that?
So we have been dealing with the recall. We made great progress. We actually have now remediated the sleep patients, and actually we are getting back into providing sleep products outside of the US to our patients. So we have provided for that. That actually is also been sufficient to date. We took an economic loss provision early this year that actually also will be effectuated next year. And then if you look to how we are getting the rest of Philips to where it needs to be, we have been making significant progress with the profitability that went up. We have guided or increased our guidance now twice for this year. We are heading towards 6 to 7% growth rate this year, both from health as well as from the consumer health side. So we're actually getting the company back into a growth and contributing level. And we do that on the back of our innovations that have real meaningful impact in the healthcare challenges of today, where they have a massive productivity gap that they need to address, where our technology and AI comes to the rescue.